Today I'd like to talk a little bit about failure. So, the difference that I find between people who are successful and people who are failures is how they view failure in a chronological sense, and also how they view failure in terms of valid goals and invalid goals. So, let's talk a little bit about goals before we even get into failure. So, what is a valid goal? To me, a valid goal is something that you can achieve. So, I can achieve a goal of, for example, next time I will not hire an idiot. This to me is a valid goal because I'm talking about something that is actually possible. In the future, for this specific position, I will attempt to not hire an idiot. Silly, I know, but it is indeed a goal. Whereas this is not a goal. If only I had seen that on their resume, I would not have hired them. If only I had asked them this interview question, I would not have hired them. I should have asked them that interview question. I could have asked them this, that, and the other and figured out that they were lying. You see how the second one doesn't really have a valid goal attached to it? See, in both points, we're thinking about our failure. We're thinking about where it is we failed. The reason that this project had failed is because there was an idiot working on it. I'm thinking about that. Both sides are thinking about that. But one side, the proper one with the valid goal, is thinking about what could I do into the future to make sure that this is successful. That's a valid goal. Whereas the other person is saying, I should have done that in the past, which you cannot change, which is impossible, and therefore invalid. I could have asked them this question. Well, you could have, but you again could have, but you can't because you cannot do right now something that you should have done 6 weeks ago. There's nothing you can do now to change what happened 6 weeks ago. You cannot change the past. It is impossible as we speak in January 22nd of 2016. Nobody has invented a time machine. So a lot of people will say that you need to be honest with yourself, that you need to talk about your failure. You need to be open about your failure. You need to be open about what you did wrong. And especially in the startup world, you hear all these comments about embracing your mistakes, embracing your failure. They encourage you to fail, but they never talk about how it is you should actually deal with that failure. Because how you deal with that failure is really going to be what defines you as a human being, what defines how well you motivate the staff and the people around you, and whether or not you actually wind up succeeding at all. You need to focus on the things that you can control. So when you're even something as basic as stripping a screwdriver, even something as basic as stripping a screw, you can say, next time I will use the proper screwdriver. That's a valid goal. I should have used a T6 instead of a T5. Again, you can't go back in time and use the right screwdriver. That's not possible. That's an invalid goal. And here's what happens when you use an invalid goal. You create more and more failure. With a valid goal, you have a chance. You have a chance of actually doing the right thing. I have a chance of grabbing the right screwdriver. There's a chance that I grab the wrong screwdriver and I strip the screw again, but there's also a chance that I grab the right screwdriver. Even if I am a complete and utter idiot, even if I'm actually blind, there's a chance of me grabbing the right screwdriver and doing the job properly. But when I say I could have done this, I should have grabbed the right screwdriver, there is a 0% chance of me going back in time and changing what I've done. So every time I talk about that failure, every time I reflect on what it is I've done wrong, I create more failure. Because not only did I fail to do the job properly, but now I'm also failing to change the past. Every time I make a statement about what I could have done or what I should have done, I'm continuing my cycle of failure. Now it's not just one failure, it's a cycle of failure. I used the wrong screwdriver. Crap. I broke this. I should have used the right screwdriver. I could have bought a proper kit. I should have let somebody else work on this. I could have done this. And you just create a cycle of exponentially more failure because there's no chance for success when you're talking about things that you cannot change. You cannot change the past. So having a valid goal, firstly, allows you the chance for actual success in the future. The second thing that having a valid goal does, when you say, next time I will use the proper screwdriver. Next time I will not hire an idiot. Next time I will take a plane instead of a train so I make it on time. Next time I will speak to the decision maker instead of talking to the idiot middleman. Is that you kind of psych yourself up. You psych your employees up. You psych your team up by actually making a possibility for a next time. Just the fact that you're saying, the next time we handle this project, we will do things differently, is you're kind of psyching people up for the fact that there will be a next time. Believe it or not, you're putting it in their heads that somewhere in their head they're going to think that we are going to do this again. We have not given up. There will be more projects, and on that next project, we will be successful. There is no room for success in what you could have done, what we should have done. Conversations with, we should have not hired an idiot. We should have spoken to the decision maker. We should have quoted them more money if they were under the expectation that we were going to do remodeling of a 250-year-old building. Things like, these are things that happen in the real world. These are all things I'm actually facing right now, believe it or not. And, when you think in terms of we should have done that, you know what that often leads to? That often leads to, here's this. We shouldn't have taken that job at all. We shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be fixing these devices. I shouldn't be soldering on these motherboards. I shouldn't be taking these larger projects. I shouldn't have asked any of you to do this. That's what that leads to. It leads to we shouldn't have done this at all, because that's the next natural thing in that cycle of failure. When you're talking about coulda, shoulda, woulda, eventually you're going to get to, I wouldn't have taken this if I could go back in time. We shouldn't have done this. We couldn't have been able to achieve what it is we set out to achieve. That's the next natural thing. And that leads to failure. You see, the failure occurs when you do something wrong. But then when you give up, that's when it becomes real failure. So there's temporary failure. There's, whoops, I dropped this, and I dropped it, and I broke it. And then there's, I broke this, therefore I will not continue with my project. That is permanent failure. So thinking about the things that you cannot control leads to permanent failure, which is bad. That's just kind of what leads to giving up and just things just not going the way you want. Whereas talking about things in terms of what we will do next time. Next time I will talk to the decision maker. Next time I will figure out if they expect that I remodel their 200-year-old building for $6,000 while installing a $6,000 system. Again, these are things where we're talking about the next job. Even though this job was a clusterfuck, even though this stuff that we did turned out to be a nightmare, next time we're going to do things differently. Next time we will apply what we learned here. Next time we will be smarter because we learned from the failure. And above all, next time does exist. You don't get to sit and wallow in the woulda not taken this job. We can't do this. We couldn't do this. No, next time. That next time implies that I have the confidence that you have the ability to actually try again and succeed. And the difference between successful people and failures is not always about intelligence. It's not about how much work they put in, how much effort they put in, how much money they have, how smart they have. It's about how they view their failures and how they view their goals, how they set up their goals, how they structure their goals, whether or not their goals are valid or invalid, and whether they learn this before they fail and give up for good. I've been there. There are a lot of times where I'm thinking, I could have done this, I should have done that. Again, I could have not hired that person to do this website. I should have had somebody checking accounting weekly or daily instead of monthly. If I had done this differently, I wouldn't have lost $30,000 over the course of one day. Instead, I look at it and I go, next time I'm working on this Magento site, we're going to do things differently. Next time. With the next company, we're going to do things differently. With the next store, we're going to do things differently. With the next opportunity that will exist, we will do things differently. There is so much unspoken positivity when you're focusing on the future rather than focusing on the past, and so many people get caught up in this negative loop of thinking about the coulda, woulda, shoulda that you cannot change that they forget about the fact that there's actually a future. There is so much unspoken positivity when you say, next time, here's how we will do things. Focusing on next time means that there will be a next time. Focusing on next time means that I'm not just saying, next time we are going to use a different employee. Next time we are going to speak to a different person. What I'm saying when I say those words properly are that I believe in all of you. I believe that all of you are competent, intelligent, and capable enough that there is actually going to be a next time. I believe that every single person in this room will be able to fix their own motherboard. I believe that every single person here will be able to install this type of system. I believe that you all will be able to conquer your mistakes and do better next time than what you did this time. and do something that we'll all be proud of. When I say the words next time, all of those words get spoken and clumped into the next time. And that's very important because you have to kind of think about what you're getting across when you're speaking. You have to think about how people are going to interpret your unspoken words, the things that you don't say. Because that is very, very important. Reading in between the lines in that context. You want your team to believe that they are capable of all of those things, but when you say it, when you actually say all those words, it can kind of start to get cheesy and motivational and blah. And people, after going through years of public school, we're just kind of immune to that. But when you just say those basic words properly, next time you're saying all of that stuff in a far more effective manner than most motivational speakers can get it across. And that's important. And some people are afraid. Some people are afraid that when you say next time, that somebody in the room that's pissed off is going to pipe up and go, well, there's not going to be a next time. Well, we're not going to be able to do that next time. Well, I quit, so I'm not going to be here next time. They're afraid of those people talking up, which is why they try to focus on what they would have done differently in the past. And here's what I want to tell you. If you have people in the room with you that are going to tell you, well, I'm not going to be here for a next time, or that there won't be a next time, you need to show them the fucking door. Because people who think like that do not belong in your organization. People who do not believe in your vision, people who do not believe in your capability for success, do not belong anywhere near you in your personal or your business life, regardless of how long they've been there to help you, regardless of how good friends you are with them, and regardless of how long they've worked with your company. If they don't believe in your ability to be successful, they need to be shown the fucking door. And that's a very important concept with failure that I find a lot of people practicing in a very, very wrong way. Think about your goals and think about setting valid goals. Think about focusing on what you can control and realize that the past is something that cannot be controlled. So regardless of how catastrophic it is, how miserable it is something that can never, ever, ever be focused on. Past is gone the second that little hand on the clock goes tick. And there's nothing you can do to change it. So focusing on it, regardless of how bad it is a complete and utter waste of time. How do you reflect on failure? And how do you motivate your team to not give up after a terrible defeat?